it's flat, so I don't like to break up that sheen. Plus, I've got less chance of it breaking up. Now, I wanted you to see how slowly I was stitching, and slow is important. Now, that is the stitch. Isn't that neat? This is a hologram thread, and that is one stitch, and a lot of machines have a stitch like that. And then I just turned the machine, the fabric around in the machine, and I'm going to go back down the other side. So instead of just using the stitch once, I'm using it twice, and I'm going to get a bigger deal. This is the line of stitching that I just did. Now I want to show you another metal, and this is gold, and it is twisted around a monofilament. It's not the flat metallic. These generally are easier going through the sewing machine, but you still want to do the same thing. You want to roll off the side of the spool, you want to open up the thread tensions, and you want to use slow going while you're stitching. Now, here is a group of stitches. Once again, a grouping. Now, here we've got the gold, and this is a very simple stitch that you'll find on most sewing machines. And then this is a variegated cotton thread that is stitched through the eye of one needle with the gold. Isn't that fun? This is a decorative line of stitching using the gold metallic. This is the same line of decorative stitching using the gold metallic with the pink variegated, just like I had shown you a moment ago. This is a very complicated decorative stitch using the gold and the pink cotton through the eye of one needle. I'm not showing you these to say this one's better or this one's bad. What I'm saying is, look how different. For different uses, for different applications. It's fun to practice and to experiment so that you can see later what you can do. Now, this is the same stitch, only enlarged, using this solid machine quilting thread called coneflower and this fine metallic purple. And I stitched it in these 3 different sizes just for my own sake, to see what the threads will do and to see the variations. Now I want you to see here, this is also simply that gold twisted, and I've got these different very complicated looking little stitches, and it's a very thin, beautiful filigree effect. This is the gold with the cotton variegate. See, it's a totally different effect. This is the gold with that cotton variegate in a very simple stitch, totally different effect. Now, what I see with this kind of work is bodices of little fairies' dresses on dolls. This grouping of stitches almost looks like an expensive trim that you can buy in the store. And they're just different stitches that I've been playing with on the sewing machine, some that I've never tried before, with the different combinations of threads. In all cases, the tension settings have to be moved around for each thread for the different kind of stitch. The fabric that I'm using here is a very tightly woven batik type fabric, and the stitches are going to just lay right on top. Now they may pull a little bit, so you may have to have extra stabilizer, and that's one of the reasons why you want to test your threads. But one of the neat things about a tightly woven fabric too is that the stitches are going to lay on top of it, and you're going to get this wonderful relief effect. Right next door to the brown is this green over-dyed fabric that has several different stitches and different colors, and some of the stitches used for decorative element is just a running stitch. Here you can see that after doing all of these rows of this sort of wave stitch, then I've got a running stitch going back and forth, which is just adding another layer of thread and another layer of interest. I would like to show you how I use decorative stitching in some of my quilt projects. This decorative panel is called Castle Door, and it's entirely designed with decorative stitches and different types and contents of threads. Obviously, decorative stitches are used in Crazy Patch. This is a contemporary Crazy Patch panel. In this contemporary Crazy Patch, I have a piece from an embroidery machine. This design is from the Art Nouveau embroidery disc, which I designed. And it is done on a piece of muslin, which is then applied to another patch with the decorative stitch. And of course, there's some antique button and beads attached. This area shows off some large embroideries and antique button. Here's some couching and some more exciting buttons and a little piece of silk dupioni. This is a small quilt called Mexican Morning, and the 3 center panels are from my embroidery disc south of the border. Here I've used decorative stitches to outline the embroideries before I piece the little quilt together. This central sun design seems to be a favorite with some of my friends. A few years ago, I picked up this little document at a quilt show. It's called A Thread of Truth. There is so much information about threads and needles, the manufacture of threads, how to use them. It is an amazing document, and you can download it from YLI's website. For information on classes with Terry and the YLI threads used in this program, go to www.threadpaint.com. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining us on Designing by Thread. This is Terry White. See you next time.